All right, so Matt, can you tell us really the story behind Hirebotics?
Yeah, so back in 2014, Rob and I started working together at Scott Fetzer Electrical Group, and we got into UR looking at high mix, low volume stuff, and so we were looking for a way to automate our factory. So we got into UR. As we got into it, we really started understanding that there was a lot more out there we could do. So in 2015, late 2015, we left SFEG and we started Hirebotics. And our real mission back then was to automate America's manufacturing plants, really help them get into automation and do it in a way that they understood, which all manufacturers understood how to hire people. And so we built an automation company that hired out robots, hence the name Hirebotics. And so we had manufacturing plants that would pay their workers by the hour, and we put robots in. In around 2017, 2018, we got approached by Airgas ReadyArc about building a robot welder that we could hire out. And so we developed the first BotX program with them, launched that in 2019 at FabTech, and the rest is history. And we've been doing robotic welding since then.
Excellent. And how would you differentiate your product in the marketplace?
So we really aim on being as easy to use as we can make it. We really have built a product that's designed for welders, not robot programmers, not engineers, not computer illiterate people. If you know how to hold a torch and you know how to run a smartphone, you know how to use a robot to weld. And so we really, every day we wake up thinking about how do we make it easier to use and how do we add advanced functionality that's easy to use for anybody to pick up.
Excellent. And how do you actually teach your cobot welder?
So we use a smartphone. You know, it's just like everything else we're doing nowadays. You pull out your phone, you open up the app, and you start guiding the robot around. If you look at the robot, there's some buttons on the back of it that you can use to move the robot around, and then use the other button to teach it.
Excellent. And how do you see that product impacting the industry for manufacturers?
So it's been amazing. I mean, we get to put robots in small plants, big plants, guys that have one welder, guys that have hundreds of welders. And what most of them are seeing is massive improvements in productivity, the ability to grow their business because they can weld. They can't hire enough people today. All of manufacturing worldwide is really facing a massive shortage of welding skill. And we don't see it getting better.
And what would you say to a welder that is kind of not afraid but doubtful about using that type?
You know, embrace the technology. It's a tool. You know, if we go back 100 years ago when you had to grind a weld, you picked up a file and you ground it. And then you filed it. And then somebody came up with an electric grinder and now you could grind a weld and it was faster, easier, less tiring. Now, fast forward to the future, you know, use this as a tool. Let it do the mundane welds that you don't want to weld all day, the things where you're doing repetitive welding. Let it do that while you focus on weld development, quality inspection, welding the more complex things that a robot just can't do.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for that overview of Hirebotics.
Thank you, Catherine.